Good evening. How's everybody doing? Great to be learning with you on a Wednesday, Yom Revi'i. Let's light up the darkness. Who's in the house? Stephen in New Hampshire, Joseph in Massachusetts, Paul in the Great Northwest, Clarice in Mexico City, Nancy in North Carolina, Bill in Mid-Missouri, Paula in Chicago, John in Maine, Shandora in the Bronx, Tracy in Oklahoma, Bella in Florida, and it skipped on me. Sharon, I am here but really sick, trying to focus. Sharon, may you have a refuah shlema. We say amen. Lucy in Smoky, Minnesota. Is that from the Canadian fires? Oh, man. Please, God, let that end. David in Indiana, USA. Melissa in Great Neck. Jonathan in Thousand Oaks, California. Karen in Northern California. Peggy in Colorado. Belle in Alaska. And Aoife in Florida, Marjorie in Georgia, Ella with us, and Michelle wishing us shalom from Southwest Washington. Welcome, everybody. Today's episode of AT Daily, dedicated by our own Mickey Stein. In gratefulness for your kind words and those who prayed for the release of Moshe Alon Stein Halevi from subjugation, Hashem has answered our prayers. Thank God. So glad to hear the good news. Mickey, thank you for enabling us to share more Torah with more people around the world. May you and all your loved ones be showered with brachas, with blessings. We say amen. And also, I'd like to make an additional dedication today, dedicating today's learning to my dear friend Mitch Blumenthal, who passed away tragically, sadly, I believe on Sunday. Same age as me. I'm going to be 58 on this Sunday. Mitch was my classmate, my good friend. We went to Hebrew school together in New City, New York. We went to high school together. We were disconnected for a bunch of years, like so many of us are from our high school friends, but we reconnected as adults and have been very good friends for, 15, 20 years. Like in touch again friends. We were always good friends. And, you left this world too soon, Mitch. We miss you. We really miss you. Mitch was very involved with his Jewish community in Sarasota, Florida. I know he's missed by his wife, Colleen, and his children and his community. And may the neshama, may the soul, may his sweet and holy soul have a great aliyah in the world of souls. We miss you, Mitch. We miss you very, very much. May our learning today accrue to your merit and to the merit of Mickey Stein and his loved ones. Let's get into it. Our daf today is Chavtes, page 29 here in Tractate Gittin, the 19th volume of the Talmud. These are the laws of divorce. We are in chapter 3, wrapping up our discussion of Mishnah number 5. And we'll go into Mishnah number 6 momentarily. This Mishnah number 5 held that we don't assume a person is dead, a person has died, unless we have very good reason to assume that he has died. Why does this matter? Because if a husband appoints an agent to deliver the bill of divorce, then even if the husband was elderly or sick, we assume the man is still alive and we deliver the bill of divorce. Whereas if we knew he was dead, we would not deliver it because a dead person cannot get divorced. Once he's died, his wife is a widow, she will not be a divorcee. We saw that this becomes possibly questionable if the husband is truly at death's door, he's on his deathbed. Then we have cause to be concerned that we might still deliver it, but we have to check and see, did the divorce happen before the man actually died. And then in cases of doubt, we observe the stringencies of both the living and the dead. So for example, an Israelite woman who's married to a priest, she can only eat teruma while she is married to him. And so if we have reason to think that the man may have died, we'll say she should stop eating teruma. But on the other hand, if a woman is the daughter of a priest married to a Yisrael who would return to her father's house when her husband dies, and we have very strong reason to believe he died, but we're not sure, so she cannot start eating teruma because we don't know if he died or not. And pertaining to this discussion, we looked at, well, what if a person is going on trial for a capital crime? Well, we don't know if he got convicted or not. Certainly, we presume to still be alive. What if he was convicted of the capital crime and his next step is execution? So he's walking out to be executed. That's the last that we heard. Can we assume that he has died? Well, if he was convicted of a capital crime by a Jewish court, we don't assume that he has been executed because the Jewish court is looking for a reason to set aside that capital punishment. And so if a witness came at the last minute and said, no, he's innocent, so that stops the procedure right there. But the sages ruled that in the non-Jewish courts of the world, particularly as they existed at the time that the sages were making these decrees, those courts executed people much more often. And even if late-breaking evidence came in, they might still execute because they don't want to be proved wrong when they ruled that the person should be executed. So we picked this up here at near the top of page 29a, and the Gemara suggests, let us say that a Mishna in Tractate Makos supports Rav Yosef's opinion concerning one who fled from the court after his verdict was issued. The Mishna states, we read this yesterday. I'm sure that we read this yesterday. So we've completed our discussion. I wasn't sure. I think I went a little past where I had marked off yesterday. So we completed our discussion of Mishnah number 5. The bottom line is this, that here's the halacha. If one who is going out to be executed by a Gentile court sends a bill of divorce to his wife, the agent may not transmit it to her, because we assume, since he was already convicted and he's going out to be executed, we assume that the Gentile court executed him. So we don't deliver the bill of divorce because we are assuming that he is dead. But if the agent delivers the get anyway, the bill of divorce, it is uncertain whether she is divorced or not. So if he is going out to be executed by a Jewish court, then after his verdict has been given, they no longer look for a merit in his favor, and he is certainly killed in accordance with Rav Yosef's second formulation. However, the Tur explains that even once he is taken to be executed, it is considered uncertain whether he is alive or not, in accordance with Rav Yosef's first formulation of this law, as the court might discover evidence of his innocence. Now we move on to Mishnah number 6 here in chapter 3. With regard to an agent who brings a bill of divorce, a get, within the land of Israel, right? We started this tractate by learning that if an agent of delivery brings a bill of divorce, brings a get from overseas into Israel, he has to deliver it to the wife, but he also has to be able to state truthfully that get was written in my presence and signed in my presence. And this is basically because the witnesses that were there when the husband wrote and signed it are not going to be available here in Israel. They're not going to come in from overseas just for this purpose. And so we want the agent of delivery to be able to make that statement. There was also concern that the scribes overseas don't know the law, that a get must be written for a particular man or woman. But within the land of Israel, the agent of delivery is not tasked, is not required to make this declaration. It was written in my presence and signed in my presence. So, with regard to an agent who brings a bill of divorce in the land of Israel, where his only responsibility is to transmit the bill of divorce, and the agent became sick. That's the new case that we're studying. The agent became sick. So this agent may send it, the get, in possession of another agent. In other words, the agent can appoint an agent. But if the husband said to his agent, when you transmit the get to my wife, take for me such and such an item from her that I left with her as a deposit, then this agent may not send the get in the possession of another agent, a sub-agent, if you will. And this is because it is assumed that it is not the desire of the husband that his deposit, which the agent is going to reclaim from the wife and bring back to the husband, it is assumed that it is not the desire of the husband that this deposit be in the possession of another person whom he did not appoint as an agent, right? If the agency was deliver the get to the wife, okay, so then the agent who became sick can appoint a sub-agent to complete the task. But if the husband had instructed specifically, and then when you see her and you're giving her the get, also collect this item that belongs to me and bring it back to me, so that is something that the agent cannot appoint a sub-agent to do. That's the Mishnah, number 6 here in chapter 3. Gemara. Rav Kahana said, we learned in the Mishnah that the agent became sick. Otherwise, he may not appoint a second agent. Right? The Mishnah said he can appoint the sub-agent only in the case where the primary agent became sick. So the Gemara asks, okay, this is obvious. The Mishnah said explicitly that the agent became sick. So why is Rav Kahana even, stating this law that this can only be done if the first agent became sick? And the Gemara answers, lest you say that the same is true, i.e. that the agent may transfer the get to another agent even if the first agent did not become sick. And the reason that our Mishnah teaches specifically that the first agent became sick is that the Mishnah teaches the matter in the manner in which it typically occurs. As an agent typically fulfills his agency, barring unavoidable circumstances like becoming sick. Therefore, Rav Kahana teaches us that an agent may appoint another agent only when he becomes sick. So the Gemara clarifies what are the circumstances of his appointment as an agent? If this is a case where the husband said to the agent, deliver this bill of divorce to my wife, then even though the agent did not become sick, he may also appoint an agent in his place, as the husband did not state that he, the first agent, must specifically be the one who delivers the bill of divorce. And if this is a case where the husband said to the agent, you deliver this bill of divorce to my wife, then even if he became sick, he also may not appoint a second agent in his place, as the husband specified that it must be that first agent who specifically he will deliver the get to the wife. And if the Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, then even if he became sick, still he may not appoint a second agent, no matter what the husband said. And the Gemara explains, as it is taught in a Baraisa in the Tosefta 2:13, if the husband said to an agent, deliver this bill of divorce to my wife, then this agent may send it in the possession of another agent. However, if the husband said, you deliver this bill of divorce to my wife, then this agent may not send it in the possession of another agent. And Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says, whether the husband said it like this, deliver it, or like this, you deliver it, either way, the agent may not designate a sub-agent. Therefore, Rav Kahana's statement is difficult, right? According to the view of Shimon ben Gamliel, there's no possibility of appointing a sub-agent. And according to this Baraisa, the only time that a sub-agent may be appointed is if the first agent became sick. And Rav Kahana seems to be saying, well, that's not exactly right. It typically happens when somebody becomes sick. But in any case, if the husband said, deliver it to my wife, the agent can appoint the sub-agent. So Rav Kahana's view is difficult when we consider this Baraisa. Now remember that Baraisas are a little bit less authoritative than Mishnahs, but only a little. They can certainly be used as contradictory evidence, and that seems to be happening here. Now, the Gemara answers, if you wish, say that the Mishnah is referring to a case where the husband said to his agent, deliver. without specifying that he must be the one to do so. And Rav Kahana understood the Baraisa as follows, and this law that he may send it in the possession of another agent applies only when he became sick. And if you wish, say that the Mishnah is referring to a case where the husband said, you deliver, but one who became sick is different. And it is assumed that under those circumstances, the husband would allow him to designate another agent. And if you wish, meaning another way to view these laws, say that the Mishnah is given in accordance with the opinion of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, that an agent is ordinarily not permitted to designate another agent, but in a case where he became sick, this is different, and the agent may designate another agent. Right? The Baraisa was just dealing with the situation of a husband saying, deliver this get versus you deliver, and didn't say anything about being sick. And our Mishnah addresses what happens if the agent gets sick. So perhaps getting sick becomes an override even to Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, who says you can never appoint a sub-agent, whether the husband said deliver or you deliver, but when the first agent becomes sick, maybe that's an override even for Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. Now, we learned in the Mishnah, with regard to an agent who brings a bill of divorce in Israel, within the land of Israel, and the agent became sick, this agent may send it in the possession of another agent. And the Gemara now raises a contradiction between this Mishnah and a Mishnah later in our tractate on page 66a, where it says, if the husband said to 2 people, give a bill of divorce to my wife, or if he said to 3 people, write a bill of divorce and give it to my wife, then these people should write it and give it. And the Gemara infers from the Mishnah, they themselves, yes, they should do so. But one whom they appoint as an agent may not do so. Again, the question is, may the agent appoint a sub-agent? Abaye said, where it is the reason that an agent may not be appointed, what is the reason that an agent may not be appointed? Right, that the second agent may not be appointed. It is due, in the Mishnah on page 66, it is due to degradation of the husband, who does not want the matter to become known, and therefore they may not designate another agent. However, here, after the husband has already sent the get, the husband is not particular that word not spread, and therefore the agent may designate another sub-agent in his place. Rava said, no. There is a different reason that in the case of the Mishnah on page 66, the agent may not appoint another to write the bill of divorce. It is because of the fact that in the case there, the husband's instructions are mere words, and verbal directives cannot be delegated to an agent, i.e., an agent cannot be deputized to give instructions on behalf of another. Therefore, they cannot take their oral instructions and transfer them to another person. In the case of our Mishnah here, the agent is able to give the physical get to another agent and thereby transfer his agency. It's a much cleaner case of understanding the principle. The husband is the principal, right, who's sending the agent. And the principal's intent is very clear when the get has already been written, hand it to an agent of delivery and just say, deliver this. So if he ends up deputizing a second agent, it's just for this matter of delivery. But where in the Mishnah on page 66, the husband says to people, write up a get and deliver it, okay, so all the husband said is that oral instruction. And if before that get was written and delivered, those agents appoint another agent to follow those instructions, now it's a deputization of oral instructions, and you can see that the chain of continuity is getting precariously thin, and it's good that the sages prohibit that. So the Gemara asks, what is the difference between these explanations offered by Abaye and Rava about explaining the contradiction between our Mishnah here? You can appoint a sub-agent to deliver the get if the first agent gets sick, and over there where the Mishnah says you can You can instruct people to give a get, but they cannot re-instruct others to write and give the get. And the Gemara asks, what is the difference between these explanations offered by Abai and Rava about the distinction between the two Mishnas? And the Gemara answers, there is a practical difference between them. In the case of an agent appointed to write a deed of gift, not even the law of get at all, but a gift, and their disagreement is parallel to the dispute of Rav and Shmuel. Rav says a deed of gift is not like a get, as the gift giver does not care who writes the deed of gift, since it is not degrading to him if another agent writes the deed of gift instead of the agent that he appointed, so the agent may appoint a sub-agent. And Shmuel says a deed of gift is like a get, as the mere words instructing the agent to write the deed cannot be transferred to another agent, a sub-agent, and the law follows Shmuel. Generally speaking, in disputes between Rav and Shmuel, the halacha follows Rav. But in disputes between Rav and Shmuel pertaining to monetary law, the halacha, the law, usually follows Shmuel. Now, the Mishnah teaches, but if the husband said to the agent, when you transmit the bill of divorce to my wife, take from me such and such an item from her, then the agent may not appoint a second agent, as it is not the desire of the husband that his deposit be in the possession of another person, other than the agent he appointed. And Reish Lakish says, here Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, Rebbe, the redactor of the Mishnah, taught that a borrower is not allowed to lend the item that he borrowed to someone else, and a renter is not allowed to rent out the item that he rented to someone else. In those cases, the same reasoning applies, i.e., that it is not the desire of the owner that his item be in the possession of another. I might agree to lend my car to my son. My son can't go out and lend my car to his friend because I never agreed to lend that car to some other kid who's not my son. I think this is pretty obvious. And Rabbi Yochanan said to Reish Lakish, even school children know this halacha, and this is not the novel idea expressed in the Mishnah. Everybody knows that a lender does not, consent that his borrower lend that item to another borrower, or that a renter rent out the item to another renter. Even school children know that. The novel idea expressed in the Mishnah is like this. Not only is it not permitted for an agent to appoint another agent in this case, as it violates the desire of the husband, right? This is where the husband said, deliver the get and pick up this item that she is holding on that belongs to me. Bring that back to me, right? And now that agent of delivery cannot, reappoint another agent to fulfill this task, because we assume that the husband does not want that item that is being returned from his wife through the agent of delivery back to him, that item should be in the possession of some other sub-agent, right? That's what the Mishnah said. So what is the novel idea here? It's not that borrowers can't lend to a secondary borrower. Rather, sometimes it happens that the bill of divorce is also not valid if a second agent is appointed. It's not just that the husband wouldn't want it. It might be that when the agent of delivery hands that get to a sub-agent to deliver to the wife, at that moment, the get becomes invalid, and this divorce won't happen because of this detour in the process, as it were. And this is because the first agent becomes as one that it was said to him, divorce her only in the house, and he divorced her in the attic. Or the husband said, divorce her only with your right hand, and he divorced her with his left hand. Here as well, since the agent violated the instructions, the divorce will not be valid. Now the Gemara elaborates, everyone agrees that when it happens that the wife went out to greet him and gave him the item that the husband requested, and then she took the bill of divorce from him, in this case everyone agrees that the bill of divorce is a proper bill of divorce. And when they disagree is in a case where the husband said to his agent, and we're now on 29b, take an item from her and then give her the bill of divorce. And he went and gave her the bill of divorce first and then took the item from her. The husband said, collect that property that belongs to me from her, and then you can give her the get. Why did the husband say that? So he can get that item back, right? I mean, once he gives her the get, maybe she's never going to talk to him again and not be very cooperative. But if she wants that get, because she wants out of the marriage, she'll be more cooperative, and the agent of delivery can pick up that item and bring it back to the husband. So the husband made very clear instructions. Get the item from her, then give her the get. If the agent then gave her the get before he collected the item, was this a valid divorce? Or because the agent didn't follow instructions, maybe the whole process has broken down and they're not divorced. Is that what happened? Right? Rabbi Yochanan invalidates the bill of divorce, even when given by the first agent, as he deviated from the husband's instructions. And his agency is canceled. That's why there's no divorce. And all the more so does Rabbi Yochanan invalidate the bill of divorce when delivered by the first agent's agent. And Reish Lakish deems the bill of divorce valid when it is delivered by the first agent's agent, and all the more so when it is delivered by the first agent himself. And that concludes our discussion of Mishnah number 6. Here's Mishnah number 7 of chapter 3. With regard to an agent who is bringing a get from a country overseas, who must declare the fact that he witnessed the writing and the signing of the get, and he became sick, and he cannot complete his agency, he appoints another agent in court and sends him, right? The first case, Mishnah number 6, was the get is being sent from a husband in the land of Israel to a wife in the land of Israel. So the agent of delivery doesn't have to say, written in my presence and signed in my presence. Now, the case in Mishnah number 7 is the get is coming in from overseas. The agent of delivery must be able to state, it was written in my presence and signed in my presence. But he gets sick. He can't complete his agency. Can he appoint a sub-agent who's going to deliver the get to the wife? He is not able to say, it was written in my presence and signed in my presence. So does that mean that this mission abort? We cannot complete this divorce? No, we have a mechanism that now this agent has to get himself to a Beis Din, to a rabbinic court, and say to the court, this get, which my principal, the husband overseas, is sending to his wife here in Israel, it was written in my presence and signed in my presence. The court receives the get, and then the court can appoint an agent to complete the delivery, because that agent does not have to state, written in my presence and signed in my presence, right? And he became sick and he cannot complete his agency, so he appoints another agent in court and sends him. And the first agent says before the court, it was written in my presence and it was signed in my presence. And on the basis of this, the court deems the bill of divorce to be valid. And the final agent, note the wording, not the second agent, but the final agent, does not need to say, it was written in my presence and it was signed in my presence. Rather, it is sufficient that he says, when he delivers the get to the wife, I, the second agent, am an agent of the court. That's Mishnah number 7. Here comes the Gemara. The sages said to Avimei, the son of Rabbi Abahu, raise the following dilemma before your father, Rabbi Abahu. Can an agent of the first agent also appoint another agent or not? Can a sub-agent appoint a third agent or not? He said to them, you should not raise this dilemma. From the fact that the Mishnah here, this Mishnah teaches the final agent does not need to say, as opposed to the second agent does not need to say, it can be seen by inference that the second agent can appoint a further agent, resulting in the existence of a final agent, not just the second agent. So rather, when you raise the dilemma, this is what you should ask. When the second agent appoints another agent, does he need to appoint him specifically in court, or can he do so even while not in court? They said to him, we do not raise this dilemma, as from the fact that it teaches, quote, rather he says, I am an agent of the court, right? This final agent, when he delivers the get to the wife, he doesn't say it was written in my presence and signed in my presence, because it wasn't. But the first agent made that declaration in court, and then the court appointed this second agent, and then that second agent goes to the wife and says, I am an agent of the court. Can the second agent appoint a sub-agent? No, because that third agent in the chain would have been appointed by the second agent himself and not by the court. So if the second agent can't complete his delivery, can't complete his agency, and he wants to appoint a third agent, he can do that, but he has to do it in a rabbinic court. Now, the Gemara cites another version of this discussion. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak would teach it like this. The sages said to Avimei, the son of Rabbi Abahu, raise the following dilemma before your father, Rabbi Abahu. When the agent of the first agent appoints another agent, does he need to appoint him specifically in court, or can he do so even while not in court? And he said to them, and you should raise the dilemma as to whether generally the agent of the first agent can appoint another agent. They said to him, we do not raise this dilemma, as we learned in the Mishna. The final agent does not need to say, and by inference it would seem that the second agent can appoint an agent. Rather, when the dilemma was raised to us, it was with respect to whether this must take place in court, or if it can take place while not in court. And he said to them, you also should not raise this dilemma, as the Mishnah teaches. Rather, he says, I'm an agent of the court, which shows that subsequent appointments must take place in the court. So no matter how that dispute was restated, the result is the same. Rabbah says, an agent in the land of Israel can appoint several agents, right? An agent who's an agent of delivery, who doesn't have to make the declaration written in my presence and signed in my presence. He can appoint the sub-agent, and the sub-agent can appoint the sub-agent, right? According to Rabbah, an agent in the land of Israel can appoint several agents. He can appoint an agent, the second agent can appoint another agent in his place. And all of this can take place outside of court, because when a bill of divorce is sent within the land of Israel, there is no need to testify that it was written and signed in the agent's presence. Rav Ashi says, if the first agent died, then they are all canceled, as all the agents act on the basis of the first agent, and with his death, that chain of agency is canceled. Mar bar Rav Ashi said, this statement of my father is from the time of his youth, and it is not correct. As if the husband dies, even if all the agents are alive, is there any significance to any of them? All of them. From whose authority do they come to deliver the get? They come from the husband's authority. Therefore, if the husband is alive, then they are all able to act as agents. And if the husband is not alive, then they are all not agents. And the status of the agents is dependent on the husband, not on the first agent whom the husband appointed. The Gemara relates there was an incident, okay, let's go real world, involving a certain man who sent a get to his wife with an agent. And the agent said, I don't know her. The husband said to him, go give the get to the sage Abba bar Minyumi, as he knows her, and he will go and give it to her. So the agent came, and he could not find Abba bar Minyumi, and he did not know what to do. But he found some other sages, Rabbi Abahu and Rabbi Hanina bar Papa and Rabbi Yitzchak Napacha, and Rav Safra was sitting among them. The agent asked them what he should do, and the first three sages said to him, transfer your words, meaning your agency, before us, as when Abba bar Minyumi comes, we will give the get to him, and then he will go and give it to her. Rav Safra was sitting there with these other three sages, and he said to them, but isn't he an agent who is not granted the ability to effect divorce, as he was given only the authority to transfer the get to Abba bar Minyumi? Therefore, he cannot transfer the agency to another person. The husband said, give this get to my wife. The guy said, I don't know who your wife is. I wouldn't recognize her. Okay, then give the get to Abba bar Minyumi, and he will give it to her. Those were the instructions of the husband. When he couldn't find Abba bar Minyumi, he found these other sages, certainly reliable, reputable people, told him what had happened. What should I do? They said, okay, give it to us. When Abba Bar Menyumi comes back, we'll give it to him, and then he can deliver it to your wife. But did the husband say, give it to some sages who will give it to Abba Bar Menyumi? No, he said, give it to Abba Bar Menyumi. So Rav Safra's point is, when this agent gave it to these other three sages, he violated the terms of his agency. The agency was canceled, and any subsequent divorce is not a divorce. That's Rav Safra's argument. And these sages were embarrassed that they ruled improperly. They said, oh, Rav Safra, you're right. The agency was canceled when that first agent gave it to us, and now we can't give it to Abba Bar Menyumi. Rava said, Rav Safra struck a blow to three ordained sages, as although he was from Bava, from Babylonia, and not ordained like they were in the land of Israel, he was the one who was right. Rav Ashi said, with what did he strike them? Meaning, he did not conclusively refute their opinion. As did the husband say to the agent, Abba Bar Menyumi should deliver the bill of divorce and not you? Rather, he appointed this agent to deliver the get, and added that if he cannot find the wife, then he can transfer the get to Abba Bar Menyumi. And the Gemara cites another version of the discussion. There are those who say that Rava said Rav Safra struck three ordained sages mistakenly. Rav Ashi questioned Rav and said, what was the mistake? After all, what did the husband say to the agent? He said that Abba Bar Menyumi should give his wife the get, meaning that he and not you should give it. And Rav Safra's ruling was correct. And the Gemara relates a similar incident. There was an incident involving a certain man who sent the bill of divorce to his wife with an agent. And he said to the agent, do not give the get to her until 30 days have passed. Circumstances occurred within the 30 days that were beyond the agent's control. And he saw that he would not be able to wait and give the get after 30 days. He was going to have to leave. He wasn't going to be around after 30 days. So it would be impossible for him to give the get, within the instructions, which was, don't give it to her until 30 days have passed. After 30 days have passed, this guy's going to be in another country. He will not be able to give her the get. He wanted to fulfill the husband's request, so what did he do? The agent came before Rava and asked what he should do. Rava said, what is the reason that the Mishna permits an agent who becomes sick to appoint another agent in his place? It is because he is a victim of circumstances beyond his control. And in the case of this one as well, he is a victim of circumstances beyond his control. He has to leave the country before 30 days have passed. That's unexpected, but it's not his fault. Rava said to the agent, transfer your words, meaning your agency, before us. We will serve as a court, so that after 30 days, we will appoint an agent, and he will give the get to her. And the sages said to Rava, but isn't he an agent who is not granted to the ability to effect a divorce, as within the 30 days, he doesn't have the authority to divorce her? And he said to them, since it is so that after 30 days, this man is able to divorce her, he is considered an agent who is granted the ability to effect the divorce. The sages challenged Rava again. But in any case, where an agent does not deliver a get immediately, let there be a concern that perhaps the husband was mollified and decided not to divorce his wife, thereby canceling the get. Didn't we learn in the Mishna on page 76 of this tractate? If before traveling a husband gives his wife a get and says that it takes effect from now, if I do not return within 12 months, and he died within those 12 months, then this is a valid bill of divorce? And we discussed this law, and let there be a concern. Now that is the conditional get that makes a lot more sense than that one we were trying to figure out the other day of if I'm going away, this is your bill of divorce. If I die while I'm away, and it's valid 1 hour before I died, how is that really going to work, right? How is that going to work? In terms of what she can do now, if she's the wife of a priest, can she teruma? We said she can't because the guy might die. But the more normal conditional get is like this. This is your get if I don't come back within 12 months. Now, if he dies during those 12 months, okay, he didn't come back. So that's a get as of the moment he left, right? It's retroactively good from when he left if he doesn't come back within 12 months. And we say that is a valid get even if he died during those 12 months. So she was divorced before she was widowed in that situation. And we discussed this law. And let there be a concern that perhaps the husband was mollified and decided not to divorce his wife, and he canceled the get. And Rabba bar Rav Huna said, this is what my father, the master Rav Huna, said in the name of Rav. The Mishna is referring to a case where the husband says, my wife is deemed credible to say that I did not arrive. Since the husband abrogated his right to contest the validity of the divorce by granting absolute credibility to his wife, there is no concern that he may have canceled the bill of divorce, as even if he were to claim that he had done so, his claim would not be accepted. In other words, he might have said later, I changed my mind, but he already gave her the get. And she is believed to say he didn't come back within 12 months. So he no longer has the ability to retract the get unless he actually comes back and gets the get back from his wife. Short of that, he can't cancel it anymore. He removed from himself the ability to later retract the get. Now, Rava was embarrassed that he ruled incorrectly. Ultimately, the matter was revealed that this woman was the husband's betrothed and that they had not married. Betrothal is like marriage, but it's not marriage. It's like marriage in that it requires a get to undo it, but it's not like marriage in that the couple has not started living together yet. Rava said, if they said that there is a concern with regard to a married woman, that perhaps the husband was mollified and regretted sending the get, would they say the same with regard to a betrothed woman whom he does not know well? Therefore, my ruling was correct. I'm just about done. Questions or comments, get them in now. When the court appoints a second agent, must they do so in the presence of the first agent, or may it be when not in his presence? And he then resolves it. The second agent may be appointed either in the presence or not in the presence of the first agent. And similarly, they sent from the land of Israel this ruling. The court may appoint another agent either in the presence of the first agent or not in his presence. And just where did the law come out about this 30-day requirement, right, where the agent was not able to complete his agency? If a husband gives a bill of divorce to an agent and tells him to deliver the get only after 30 days pass, and the agent becomes sick or circumstances arise that are beyond his control, he may appoint an agent to give the wife the get after 30 days pass. If the couple had been married and not merely betrothed, then the husband must state that she is deemed credible to say that he did not appease her within this time. According to one opinion, the first agent should not appoint another agent. Rather, he should transfer the agency to the court, which will take care to give the bill of divorce only after the 30 days. And this is in accordance with the conclusion of the incident involving Rava. Okay, let's see if we got questions or comments on Daf 29. Here we go. Lucy. Can the husband add any conditions he wants to the delivery of the get? Are there any rules about what makes a condition reasonable? I don't know. We haven't encountered the ruling that this condition is unreasonable, right? So it does seem, we certainly have seen that the husband can make stipulations, can make conditions. Only give this get to her after 30 days. Only give this get to her if she returns an item to you. Now, maybe the condition is unreasonable. Let's say that the husband says, this is a get from my wife, give it to her on condition that she climbs Mount Everest. She's not going to climb Mount Everest. So what has been done? Nothing. There's no divorce, right? The condition can't be met, so there is no get. Why did the husband go through this trouble? Maybe he's histrionic. Maybe he's trying to make a point. Maybe he's trying to communicate a message. But what he didn't do is create a divorce. Jonathan, I find almost all of this discussion to be linked to Tractate Nedarim, which is about vows. It is critical to do what we say we are going to do and live by our words and commitments. Doing otherwise brings at least a little bit of chaos and deceit into the world. Agreed. And particularly, when we say we're going to do something, right? One thing is to say, I'm going to lose 10 pounds or I'm going to climb Mount Everest, and I'm trying to inspire myself to get something done. Very different when you say, could you go to the store and buy me a quart of milk? And I say, I will. Right? Now you're relying on me. You're relying on the promise that I made. So making promises or making statements that are the equivalent of promises that other people are going to rely on, and then being somebody who's not a person of his or her word, very, very bad. Very bad. And I think that we see all the time in modern times, certainly from our politicians, that being a person of integrity whose word means something has become an increasingly rare quality in this world, and that is not as it should be. And finally, Peggy, what of the husband who gave the get when he left to serve in the armed forces becomes a POW? You're saying that he goes, are you saying it's known that he's a POW? Like, in other words, you're saying if he said, this is your get on condition that I don't return within 12 months, right? So it's not that he died or went missing. I think what you're saying is it was simply beyond his control to return. Bottom line, if the get was worded, this is your get if I don't return within 12 months, and he doesn't return within 12 months, big problem. Sounds like they are divorced. Now, she might understand what happened and, remain faithful and loyal and wait for him, and they might have to remarry, which is possible to do. A husband and wife who are divorced can remarry so long as she didn't marry someone else in the meantime. That's how I would see it. I'm not sure if that's right. I think we're going to hear more about your question in the pages ahead. That's what I've got for us today. With God's help, we'll be together again tomorrow, Thursday, at the regular time, 6 p.m. Pacific. Have a great night.